People have said that. Like, you're the strong one and you just always have it together, but I don't. Ew. Abby, no.
Welcome back to Banter at the Bedside. Today we have a very special spotlight with one of our primary co-hosts, Kaleigh. We're going to put her in the hot seat, get to know what her journey in healthcare has been like. Just a reminder, this is all for entertainment purposes only. What you hear is our own opinions and doesn't represent any employer or any other entity. We are not giving medical advice. Seek the care of your own medical professional. So, hi, Kaleigh.
Hi.
Are you
Happy New Year.
nervous?
Nervous?
Yeah.
Nah.
You trust me?
Yeah.
So, as we've touched on before, part of what we want to do is provide a little bit of mentorship of the different paths in medicine that we can do. So, tell us about your journey to becoming a nurse and working in the cardiac ICU.
Okay. When I was in high school, I did plan to go to medical school. That's what I wanted to do. And I started taking some classes. I took like a medical terminology class, and then I got into allied health because that's really what they had. And we had to get like our CNA license. We had to get CPR certified and all that. And getting towards the end of school, I just was like, I don't remember why, but my brain switched over into like a nursing pathway. And I did that. There was like no specific thing or anything that happened, but I ended up doing that, and I went and got my BSN. And when I started nursing, I was on an intermediate floor. So I worked on an intermediate floor, like a step down floor for 2 years. And then I transferred to the CICU, and that's where I've worked since then. So 17 and a half years of nursing, 15 of those in the CICU.
What made you want to transition from step down to or intermediate to ICU?
I just felt like I was always running around and I was spread so thin between, sometimes 5 or 6 patients. And I didn't love that workflow for whatever reason. And they didn't hire, I'd interviewed for ICU, but they didn't hire new grads into the ICU at that hospital. And some of my good friends that I graduated with started in the ICU, and they just talked about all the stuff they did. And I just thought it sounded really cool in a way to be a little bit more involved. I mean, different hospitals are obviously different, but I just felt like I wanted to know more, to maybe have a little bit more responsibility, have a little bit more of an impact, like daily with what I was doing at work.
Makes
I just
sense.
wanted to get out of that hospital, honestly. 2 years to the day that I was required, I worked.
You did your 2-year contract and you were
Yes.
done.
Done.
I didn't realize you worked at a different hospital, too.
Oh, yeah. When I tell you, when I started on CICU, I was like, this is amazing. Like, you guys have a free charge nurse. We didn't have that. You have a float nurse, like just an extra nurse going around to take care of your patients. You have care partners. You have vital sign machines in the room. Like, you have doctors that put their own orders in the computer. Like, I'm telling you, it was a completely like whole new world. And I thought it was great.
So were you at like one of the really small rural hospitals before?
It wasn't like a small rural, but it's not in our
Oh,
system.
system. Okay.
They do like open heart surgeries, they do valves, they do like stuff there, but it's just not as big as us. But I just they had a computer system, but it was kind of janky, but the physicians wrote orders, and then we had to like fax them to the pharmacy. And I worked night shift there too, so we didn't have a secretary, like we didn't have anything. The nurses did it all. Like, I walked around with my little vital sign machine to my room, and I had to get their vital signs. There was one supply room. The halls went like this. You couldn't even see the patients. There's no windows in the doors. Like, it was very different. It's probably a lot different there now. Obviously, it's been a long
Yeah.
time.
Little different. I don't know if my first unit, we did not have windows in the doors either.
And you would have a patient, like, I would have patients over here and patients over here. It felt crazy sometimes, I'm going to say. Really crazy.
Do you feel like any of your skills from that helped you in the ICU though? Because it's always like a big debate, right? Like, should new grads start in the ICUs or no?
I think yes. And I will say because I got very good at time management and I mean, we do that here too, but at this a little bit smaller hospital, I floated around to a lot of different floors, and just saw a lot. But sort of being able to like think on your feet, be creative, how to get stuff done, time management, all help you in the ICU. Not to say that you can't get those from other jobs and still start as a new
Mm-hmm.
grad. I mean, I waited tables for years too, and I think that probably prepared me just as much, if not more, as far
Yeah.
as
Service.
service, hard work. I mean, your back aching, your feet
Mm-hmm.
aching, the customer service, all of that. So, oh
The stamina that
my
it
God.
takes.
Yeah, not getting breaks.
Oh, yeah. So since you've been in healthcare so long, what do you do now to protect yourself that you didn't do early on? Like, what do you wish you could tell the younger you that you should have been doing?
You mean like physically or
I mean,
emotionally?
physically, emotionally, mentally.
I think I would tell myself that, you just cannot control a lot of the things that you want to control. When I was a new nurse, I would get upset when patients would refuse things
Mm-hmm.
or not follow the rules, and I would be really worried, you know. And now I'm sort of like, that's their choice. I can offer what I can offer. I can do what I'm supposed to do, and I can document that they didn't want it. So I think that's more like just protecting my like peace in a way of I'm not like overly stressed out about things that I just can't control.
Mm-hmm.
Physically, yes, I think that I was probably in some situations as a younger nurse that I shouldn't have been in because I didn't know any better. And now, I think we try to do a better job of preparing people. Like if your patient's swinging and kicking, don't go. Don't go in there.
Yeah.
If they're being aggressive and they're climbing out of bed, then unfortunately they are going to have to fall until I get enough help. It's not on me myself to prevent that if it's going to cause me to get hurt. Trying to not even argue, but trying to maybe like talk down an irate family member or trying to get them to calm down is not something that I would recommend a new nurse doing by themselves. And we have resources to help with that now. So just that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think those are things that I've also learned. Like, if they're going to hurt themselves, they're going to hurt themselves. Um, and I think the other thing you touched on that I noticed as like an NP with new grad nurses is that like when a patient refuses something, like they want me to go in and convince them. And it's like, I'll go and talk to them, but at the end of the day, like it's their right to refuse.
Uh-huh.
And if you educated them on the risks, then there's,
Uh-huh.
I can go and re-educate, but I'm not going to force them. And it's interesting because I remember being like that as a new grad, like, no, you got to take it.
It's like, because I'm like, no, you've got to take this or
You got to take this.
you're going to get sick again
Yeah.
and some things you just, as you get older, it's just lessons you learn with getting
Yeah.
older. And that's in any line of work or
Mm-hmm.
any job. I think it's really sweet though. Like, when you're new and it's like you just care so much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to say I don't care now, but it's just I have got to work on what I can control and do the things that I can do.
Right.
And I just don't have time. I don't have the time or the space for that other stuff.
No.
And it's not healthy. I mean, it's not healthy to stress over that. So,
No. And it's not healthy to stress over it when it's their choice at the end of the day. Like it's
uh-huh,
no different than to me, I've kind of related it to like I can educate you to stop smoking. Can educate you to stop drinking. And you're not going to do those things when you're in the hospital. But as soon as you leave here, I can't control that. So if you
uh-huh.
don't want this medicine, I will say when I was starting to get comfortable with it though, I would do like scare tactics. I would be like, you don't want this Lovenox? Okay, that's fine. That's your choice. But you could get the risks of that is you could get a blood clot in your leg and that can break off and go to your lungs and then you could die.
Mhm.
And then they'd be like, okay, I'll do it. And now I'm like, that might have been a little
Yeah.
extreme.
I mean, I keep it real with people. I'm like, "All right, you gonna smoke? All right. Well,
See you in a
I'm gonna
year.
probably see you back in here then."
Mm,
Just saying. But I like okay, just the difference in perspective. I think I was talking about this with somebody the other day. I remember when I was a newer nurse, so I guess I've been nurse for 2 years, but I was working in CICU, so I was still new to the floor. And this patient kept on like taking themselves off the monitor to go outside to smoke, which you can't. I mean, you just can't do. And you have to walk all the way up to the street. And it wasn't my patient, but I was like, oh my God, you can't let them do that. You've got to call somebody. Like every time I was like, this is not safe, and I was, and the nurse was like, whatever. Like they know. And I just was like, somebody has got to do something. And now it's like, yeah, I mean, I've told the provider, I document each time they leave and I document when they come back. If they're not going to discharge them or they don't want to leave AMA, like I can't physically restrain the person. So it's just a difference in perspective.
yeah. I had one when I was a new grad nurse on my unit, and the patient, similar, like no one really cared. I was in step down, and the patient would come and go. And he left for 2.5 hours one on my night shift. And then he finally showed back up, and I was like, where'd you go, buddy? Like,
Yeah.
your med pass, I'm late on my med pass, I'm late on my assessment. Like, where'd you go? He got on a bus in his hospital gown, went across town to get some money from his buddy to get back on the bus to come so he could get more cigarettes from the gas station down the road. And I was like, well, how many people saw you just walking around town in your hospital gown that didn't stop to like think like maybe you shouldn't be on the city bus at 9 p.m. at night?
Yeah. Like, where have you escaped from?
Do like what? To get money to get cigarettes?
Yeah. I mean,
Really?
if there's anything, I feel like everybody, like, the patients just don't get it or they don't care. Like, if you're in the hospital, I can't imagine jonesing so bad for a cigarette. Like, I get it. I feel bad. Like, I want to give you a nicotine patch.
Mm-hmm.
Disappearing for hours to take a bus to get money to get.
I'm like, your buddy
Sounds like they
couldn't,
probably could have just been discharged.
right? I'm like, your buddy couldn't have brought the cigarette, like, they couldn't have brought you cigarettes or brought you the money. Like, why'd you have to take the bus across
Mhm.
town? I'm like, also, why are you telling me?
Yeah,
Just lie to my face. Just lie
I
to
don't
my
want to know
face.
that.
I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this information now?
Yeah, like don't do that again, bro.
No. So I think one of the topics that I really wanted to touch on with you is what it's like to be a mother in healthcare. I'm not a mom, but I imagine that there's a lot of push and pull. You're a very strong, capable, smart woman. And when you're at work, I know you're kind of like the person that most of us rely on. I know I rely on you. A lot of most of the providers rely on you, the new nurses, everyone else kind of like, you're kind of our go-to person. And as a mom, I know that you're also the go-to person. So how do you carry that burden of always being the strong one, always being the go-to at both work and home?
I mean, I don't really have another option. So I I find it interesting when people will say that and people have said that. Like you're the strong one and you just always have it together. But I don't. I think I just maybe hide it. Well, I think number one, and I mean if you're as I'm saying this as a working mom, but if you're a working dad, just know like, this could apply to you. But being a working mom at all is so tough because you're leaving your kids and someone else is like raising them throughout the day. And then in healthcare, for me at least, I work 12-hour shifts and it's really tough because I would get up for work and leave. My kids are still asleep. I would get home from work and they're already in bed when they were little. So sometimes I might go days without seeing them. And then, doing a tough job at work, your brain's always on. And then on your days off, you're the primary parent or the default parent, so you just never get a day off, and that's just what you choose to do. When you choose to work in the hospital and you choose to work those shifts and you choose to have kids, I mean, it just is what it is. I don't really know what to say about, like, how to do it well. I think that you do have to, how can I say this politely? Separate your parts of your lives. So it's not like I'm not thinking about my kids when I'm at work, but like if I'm at work, I kind of have to like be in work mode. And then when I'm at home, be in home mode. And I think that helps because if you're constantly worried about one or the other, you're not going to do either one well.
Hmm.
It's tough to do that. It's tough when you're at work and your kid's school is calling, or maybe they did call the other parent, but they don't know what to do, so they're calling you. Or, you're trying to keep up with their grades or their assignments. And then when you're at home, work's calling you like, hey, what about this discrepancy? Or can you come in here? Or what did you didn't chart this? It can just be really tough. It's like you feel like you never get a break, you never get a day off.
Yeah. So then how do you prioritize you? Like, when do you prioritize you? Or is that still a work in progress?
It's tough. Okay, my kids are older now, so it's not that bad for me. I think they're in school and I have days off during the week, so it's easier now. I, I have my little hobbies. I like to read, I go to the gym, like nothing crazy or extravagant. When they were little, there just was no time and there was no room to prioritize myself. And that's just a phase of life. That's a season of life. And if anybody's in that season of their life, it does get better and you're doing a great job. But it's hard to prioritize yourself when your kids are little. I would just say that. I'll just say that. I guess it probably depends on what your support system is like
Hmm.
also, in and out of work.
So, just to dive a little deeper, what emotional weight do you think you carry at home that maybe no one sees
You mean like emotional weight from
from
work that I
work?
carry at home?
Yeah.
I think that I have gotten so good at compartmentalizing things that I don't struggle with that as much as I used to. But I definitely used to have those days where, I had a really tough shift or a really tough patient. Maybe there wasn't a good outcome. And I would be like just replaying it if I did everything I was supposed to do, or what if I had done something different. So it's just, the emotional weight of having such sick patients and trying to take care of them and feeling like maybe you didn't do everything or missed something. But now I when I leave work, I just try not to think about work. Like I'm not checking in like with somebody that I know that's working like, "Hey, how's this patient in so what room doing?" Like I used to do that because I'm like I wanted to know like if they were okay or getting better, and I don't do that now. When I'm not at work, I don't look at the census. I don't look at so I'm like it's out of my
Hmm.
mind.
Yeah. I do feel like on our unit, there's a lot of census checking of like people are at home looking at the census a lot,
Mhm.
nurse wise. And as a provider, we used to have access to our patient charts on our phone, but they made us like want to add like extra security where they were monitoring our phones. And our system doesn't pay for my phone, so I wasn't going to add all this extra apps and
Yeah.
change factory settings just so I could look at a chart, because I think that's the beauty of working at the hospital is when I clock out, someone else is clocking in.
Mhm.
So I'm not in the clinic having to like follow them up
Yeah.
or follow
Or
labs.
go home and finish your charting. Oh my gosh, your
No.
notes.
Like, so most of the APP team, and physicians on our team have all opted to not add this, so we can't check our charts from our phones anymore.
Mhm.
And it has really freed me up. And I think it's also made me much more calm going into work. Cause like on the days that I would wake up and have to work, the first thing I would do, I wouldn't even be out of bed. I'd open my phone and see what the census was at.
Mhm.
And I would see, do we have any patients coming? I would check how long they had been on the list for in transport. And then I'd be like, oh, I'm going to have to admit this patient. They just got added. And like from the moment I would wake up, I'm already like running through my day. Like, oh, so and so's still there. Oh, let me check their labs quick. Look, they're like getting worse. And it's just like already haven't even brushed my teeth.
Yeah.
And I'm
That's too
starting
much
my day.
anxiety right off the bat. Like yeah. You hadn't even clocked in, but you've clocked in.
But I've clocked in.
Yeah.
So I think separating that and not having it on my phone has changed so much for all of
Hmm.
us.
Yeah. I can imagine having to that no, that would be awful. I mean, I'll check the schedule like the day before I go. I'm like, who's working tomorrow? But I'm not reading through 1,000 like staffing notes and stuff. Like I feel like some
Hmm.
people go home and they know everything that happened on the 12 hours they were gone. I was like, what? Don't you have
And
something else to do? Or I don't know.
they do. And some of the nurses will like text me too now and tell me like, oh, they're putting so and so on pump. Like, what's happening? I'm like, I don't know. I'm at home and I'm not looking at my
No.
charts. Like,
No. I'm like, I don't know. If I wasn't there, or I mean,
hmm
unless somebody tells me, I was like, I don't know. And that's how I prefer it because it wasn't always that way. And like you said, I'm clocked out. This is my job does not continue when I go home.
no.
Thank
And
God.
that's why I like the hospital
Yeah,
because it doesn't continue. Whereas I know those in the clinics that they don't always have that freedom.
I know. Well, I mean, they're so rushed and they are
Hmm.
forced to see 1,000 patients. They don't have time. I mean, I can't imagine
No.
that. No.
So I think a question that I really kind of thought was interesting for someone that's been in healthcare so long, kind of doing this podcast alternative medicine
Yeah.
journey with me.
Uh-huh.
It's like we're still in medicine, but on a
Hmm.
different, maybe more fun side.
Hmm.
What do you think you've gained from healthcare? And what do you think you've lost from working in healthcare outside of like time with your kids?
Outside of time with my kids, what I've gained from healthcare and especially working where we work, where we live in the hospital, is just a new perspective on people. I mean, things that I used to think, believe, you know, I don't anymore because I've experienced people with their conditions and their struggles and their hardships. And it's just exposure to people that maybe I never would have met otherwise. And just gaining like I said, a new perspective or a new opinion or, seeing a new point of view on an issue maybe that I used to think one way about, and now I know to be different. And I think that that is amazing because, like, when I started as a nurse, I was 22. Like, I don't have a lot of life experience. Like, I had jobs, like, I worked and, know, was around people, but you just haven't lived enough. You haven't seen enough when you're 22 and then you're taking care of people. And there's just a lot of things you might have like preconceived notions of that are just not true. And you don't know that until you experience it. So I think that's one of the best things I've gained from healthcare. And I mean, I've gained my best friends in life from healthcare. I mean, when I'm at work, like I've made friends that are who I consider my family. And I don't know if it's just trauma bonding or spending so much time together, but that's one thing that, I'm the happiest about because if I had never started my job or where I worked, like I wouldn't know some of you and it would be so sad. And I think that, I've got a lot more empathy for people. I know some people probably don't think that, but I really do. I mean, these patients, what they've gone through, what they go through every day and their struggles, whether it's physical or financial or, you know, all of the socioeconomic issues that they have, I just have a lot of empathy for people, the way that they keep showing up and trying. And the flip side of that is that I also have less empathy for people on certain things. I mean, just the way that we see some of the best in people, we see some of the worst.
Yeah.
And like we always talk about, we're dealing with people on the worst day of their life. I get it, but you know, people can be really, really terrible, and they can be terrible to their family member who is the patient. They can be terrible to each other. They can be terrible to us who are there trying to take care of them. So while I've gained a lot of empathy for people and their struggles, I also feel like I've lost a lot of patience with people and them being rude and ungrateful.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I can no, I kind of feel the same. And It's a fine line because it's right. Like I have a lot of empathy for things that are out of people's control. Like, you didn't ask for this autoimmune illness. You didn't
Mhm.
ask for bad genetics. Like, you're 30, you shouldn't be having a heart attack, but you're having a heart attack because, your parents on both sides have just genes prone to it.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, I'll just use my husband, Dan, as an example. But like, he's hasn't gone to the doctor in so many years, and he has a lot of kind of stomach issues. And I just don't have any more empathy for
Mm-mm.
him in regards to it. Like, go to the doctor, get it figured out.
Mhm.
I've done all I can from here. And it's like, I don't have any more empathy because you're not doing anything to help yourself. He has the resources. We have insurance. Like,
Yeah. No, he could easily go.
you can
Like,
easily go but if it were reversed, if it was someone that didn't have health insurance, that, maybe didn't even speak the same language,
mhm,
English isn't their primary language, I would
mhm,
have more empathy for them to
mhm.
not seek medical care.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
but some
And I don't
people,
know.
yeah.
I mean, I think nurses in general, and probably, anybody medical, their family members probably just hate even trying to bring up any sort of complaint. And it's probably worse for us because we work in the ICU. So, like, our patients are literally dying.
Right.
And then, oh, but you have a cough. I'm sorry. Are you going to make it? It's so bad. And
But
it's not
did you
fair.
die?
It's not fair. Yeah. But did you die?
But did you die?
It's not fair to them. But it's like, you get no empathy from me. Everything I had, I spent it. I spent it
Yes.
there.
I
And I try to do it
also
with my kids, and I'm like, put a band-aid on it. I mean, you're fine.
I also find that it's like one of two extremes where I'm like, you're fine, calm down, or I'm like, yeah, you about to die, you better go to the ED.
Yeah. And if I'm saying that, then, like, you need to be worried.
Yes. I've had two situations where my family members have called me and I've been like my sister sent me a picture of her foot after surgery and she's like, it just really hurts. And it was so big. And I was like, oh my God, you need to go to the hospital right now. You got a big blood clot. She waited like 12 hours until the pain was unbearable, went in, just giant blood clot. I'm like, you are so lucky that this didn't break off. And it's like, if I'm telling you to go to the hospital, you should just go to the
Mm.
hospital.
Well, my favorite too is when, you get all this sort of everybody wants to have they want you to answer a question for them. Like, I need some advice. So what
Mhm.
would you do? And I'm like, like, don't ask me anything about a broken bone. I don't know. I don't work in orthopedics. And they browbeat you until you tell them something,
Mhm.
or they do want your opinion. And maybe I have a good opinion or I have a very good recommendation. And then they don't even do it. I'm
And
like,
yeah. What was the point?
well, I think I'm just going to do this instead. I'm like, cool. Don't ask me again then. Because I don't want to talk
Mhm.
about it outside of work anyways, really.
It always seems to be derm questions too. Like, I always get dermatology questions and I'm like, I'm an ICU nurse practitioner. I've done cardiac and I've done neuro. Yes, all my patients have skin. Do I care about it? Not that much. No.
Mm-mm.
Like, unless there's a sore on it, it's there.
Yeah.
It's intact.
I'm like, we never go to the doctor like we're
Right.
supposed to, and we should. And then it's like with my kids, I'm like, I don't know anything about kids really. Like, I've only worked with adults, so I feel clueless on that end. But I do feel like I probably saved them some unnecessary trips to like urgent care and the emergency department where most people probably take them. Because I'm like,
Mhm.
and we're not going in there unless it's dire because you don't want to go sit in there.
And then
Yeah,
get a cold or get something bad because
right.
you went there unnecessarily.
Hmm.
Is there something that you think we do better now as like either a unit or healthcare as a whole that we didn't when you started?
I think that when I started, it was like residents and then like the private physicians. So most of my education came from the other nurses, our
Mhm.
nursing educator, my preceptors, the experienced nurses on the floor. The doctors really didn't sit and talk. They didn't round. And, I really had to like look up stuff, like be studying, talking with the nurses to continue my own like learning off of orientation. And now I think with our intensivist program, we're just so lucky because you're I'm continuously learning things and hearing the rationale for things the way we round. And yes, it's annoying and I don't always have time, but the knowledge is just better and the knowledge is shared. And I do think that that's a huge advantage of where we work.
Hmm.
Um, I think that a lot of places are probably more into like the interdisciplinary approach and rounding bedside, everything at the bedside. So I think that the knowledge is better, knowledge sharing is better. And one thing I don't think is, I think that people think is better, but is not. And just listen to me when I say this, is that there's no more quote unquote bullying in nursing. Okay. I do not condone bullying nurses. I don't like it when people used to say how like nurses eat their young. That's ridiculous. Like
Hmm.
you were there once. Our job is to help them, teach them, whatever. But I think that we're just a little bit too soft on new hires, new nurses. I don't think that they are getting that constructive criticism in a way that makes them feel like you have got to step it up. I don't think they're either scared to death or they're overconfident. And we need to find a way to get them back into the middle of like having a healthy dose of fear. And I think that the way that we're precepting and mentoring it has got a big component of that. And I don't think we need to bring back bullying. I don't want to bully anybody, but I think that they're not scared enough and they're not sometimes taking it seriously enough. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think also it's kind of gets down to, what is bullying? Like,
Hmm.
me when I started like in my nursing home, like they would switch my assignment. Like they would switch where I was put at to be the harder one, like before I got there. So if I didn't get there early enough, like, the nurse manager would assign us and then the charge nurse that night would switch the assignments sometimes so that I would have like a harder side. And like there was one time when on my unit that I worked on, I didn't have any patients. They were at surgery or dialysis, like so all three of my patients were off the unit for like four
Hmm.
hours. And I remember walking around asking, "Do you need anything? Do you need anything? What can I do to help?" Finally someone just like snapped at me and was like, "Just sit down. Like, we don't need your help. Just sit down." And I think those are like real instances of like bullying and like what nursing used to be like. Like, I'm going to give you the crappy assignment
Hmm.
because you're the new person. I'm going
Hmm.
to like not even use your help because I don't trust you or I don't like you or whatever.
Hmm.
It wasn't the when I made a mistake getting corrected
Hmm.
that I felt like I was being bullied. It was I needed to be corrected. And I
Hmm.
think that's sometimes where it gets lost is I'm not when I say, okay, well, next time don't like we can't do it that way. Like don't say it that way next time.
Hmm.
Like this is how we need to approach it. And then it turns into this big issue. And it's like, I'm not correcting you to be mean. I'm correcting you to help in the future. It's like
Yeah.
I agree. Like, I think sometimes we're a little too soft. I think, and this might be controversial amongst APPs, I think we're the big reason too. Like, I think APPs, because so many of us got kind of yelled at by calling a resident or calling a doctor, like for that 2 a.m. colace, like, oh, I'm never going to do that again, or calling without the bladder scan, like, oh, hey, their urine output's low. And then I call and I'm like, get their urine outputs dropped below 30 an
Hmm.
hour. Well, have you bladder scanned? No. Why the hell are you calling me if you haven't bladder scanned when you haven't done X, Y? And then I learned like I had to check boxes as a NP. I don't want to yell at people. Um, and
Y'all
so
aren't
I'll
throwing charts at people like the
no, we're not.
surgeons did,
No.
which
Or
that's crazy. Like, then don't,
yeah.
but
And we shouldn't do
yeah.
that, but I do think that there's so much convenience in us and we do
Hmm.
maybe hold their hands a little bit
Hmm.
too much. Whether they feel like we are or not, I can say
No,
we are.
you are, but you're helping them learn. You're teaching them, but yeah, they don't have to think through every single scenario and like layer of the problem that they're calling with because you guys are there. And I mean,
Right.
that's why I love working with y'all because it's just so easy. And, it's, you guys are nice and you have the background of knowing what it's like to be a bedside nurse.
Yes.
So like you said, it is a double-edged sword, I think. There's pros and cons.
Mhm.
But I just feel like they're not scared enough, and it makes me nervous sometimes. I'm scared. I'm not like, I'm gonna go to work and do a good job. I'm not, like, I used to be like, "Oh my god," like, "I don't know if I could do this." But every day, I know I could really hurt somebody or kill somebody if I made a mistake.
Mhm.
And I'm confident. I'm gonna do what I need to do, but I still have a healthy dose of fear in what I do. And that comes from seeing mistakes that were made or learning from my own mistakes. And some of that you don't get without experience, but it's almost like they don't want to hear about that, or like I could tell you mistakes that I've made or things that I've seen that would scare you. And
Mhm.
it's like I don't even know that they want to hear it sometimes, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a lot to learn. It's a lot to hear when you're new.
It is. It is. And I think it's that age thing too, right? Like I saw this TikTok and I wish I saved it, but she was like, I've been putting bodies in bags since I was 22 because she was a nurse. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, like, I was starting in the nursing home, like I've been putting bodies in bags since I was 19. Like that's not normal.
No.
That's not
Is that a
normal.
flex?
Like, no, I don't think, well, I think it was a little bit of a don't talk to me about your trauma. Like, this is what
Oh,
I've
okay.
been doing.
Okay.
And so it's like, man, like, I didn't ever think of it like that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I've been. So I
Yeah,
think,
I don't it's like one of those situations where, like, you've just been doing it and it's, like, gradually just getting worse, but you don't know
yeah.
because
Hmm.
you're so used to it.
And you're so young when you start too. And so there's like so little life experiences. And then it's like
I
when you
know. I mean, we
start,
all like to say, like, "Well, back in my day," or, like, her saying,
hmm
like, "I've been doing that since I was 22," or whatever, but, like, that's not the new person's fault that they haven't done that. I think that sharing it is helpful, but not, like, in I don't know, that kinda way.
hmm
It's hard to say. But you don't even know, "That wasn't a bad day. Let me just tell you a bad day." Well, that's not helpful, and
no.
it's the same, like, you could share a story to commiserate or to make them feel better, and it's the same thing, like, we were talking about being moms. It's the same thing that people do to new moms where they complain because they're they're concerned their baby's crying. Like, "I haven't slept in 3 days," and somebody's like, "Well, just wait, it just gets worse," or, "That's nothing." I was doing that with 2 other kids, and I was a single mom. It's like, that's not helpful because what they're experiencing is still hard and it's still traumatic to them.
Hmm.
So sharing stories in a way to commiserate or be like, I know how you feel. Just know, like, it could be, it could have done like this. So it's not as bad as it could have been. Or, it's okay. Like, that's not always like that. It'll be better. Like, that's what it should be. And I
Right.
mean, we joke, obviously, we joke around, but truly, like, that's what we should be doing to support people.
Hmm.
That's not what I'm saying I was scared, okay? I was scared that I was gonna get yelled at. I was scared that I was gonna have to give a report to one of the really smart, pretty nurses, and they were gonna tell me I was stupid, and I was so intimidated by a lot of the nurses that worked there because they were all so good. Like, you could tell, like, the way that they got their work done, the way they talked to the doctors, the way they talked to the families, and it was just like, I wanted to be as good as them, and I wanted to be on my P's and Q's, so I had my head down, I was trying to get my work done, like, make sure that I knew what I was talking about, and nobody was really ever that mean to me, but I was scared. Yeah. I saw the way that they be talking to people who were stupid. I don't want that to be me.
That's kinda how I felt when I started as an NP. I was like, "Okay, I don't wanna be like that person over there."
Like, I don't think I talked to anybody for, like, the first year that I worked there. Like, I don't know. I was like, I've gotta yeah, no, I was not socializing at all.
So, I was a student on our unit before I took a job.
Yeah.
So when they hired me, they were telling other people and they were asking, "Oh, who'd you hire?" And they were like, "Abby, Ben's quiet student."
Yeah.
And I was like, And then about a year and a half later, Michael was like, "Man, we really thought you were the quiet one." I was like, "Of course I'm going to be quiet when I'm like the student and I'm learning.
Mhm.
Like I'm just observe. I'm here to observe. I'm here to learn. I'm here to soak it in." I was like, "I'm the first year. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to keep it in." I was like,
Uh-huh.
"I'm not the quiet one."
No. I did used to think you were quiet. I don't think I ever met you when you were a student. Because you were on nights, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I remember you did your interview. I was like, I have no idea who this is. Am I supposed to know who this is? And they're like, yeah, she's been training with Ben. I was like, what? I I I had no idea. But
So
I
many
hadn't heard anybody say anything other than like, yeah, she's smart. It was like nobody. I thought you were quiet when I met you when you first started working there, which is hilarious. But
Everyone did. Alana did too.
she knows
I'm
better.
stealthy. Yeah, I'm stealthy. I'm
Yeah,
quiet until I know.
yeah. I'm definitely not quiet.
So I wanted to play a little game.
Okay,
So a little bit rapid fire, this or that. Don't think, just
okay,
tell me which one. All right.
okay.
Day shift or night shift?
Night shift.
Coffee or energy drink?
Coffee.
Help with intubation or help with a central line?
Me helping? Oh, intubation.
Chart early or chart at the end of your shift?
Early.
An admit at the start of your shift or an admit at the end of your shift?
Start.
Fully staffed with the B team or short staffed with the A team?
Short staffed with the A team.
New equipment versus old reliable?
Old.
Music at the desk versus silent?
Music.
Team potluck versus catered lunch?
Potluck.
Teaching your students versus protecting your peace?
Protecting your peace.
Data doctor or data nurse?
Oh, Abby. No, neither. Okay, I'd say neither for the record, but I'd say, I guess if I had to choose, I'd say doctor because at least they have some money. Sorry, neither. No, I can't imagine how insufferable it would be to be married to a doctor. Uh, just
The time. I
and
dated a
then
couple doctors and
they're probably never home. They're probably so tired. I think dating a nurse, I think we're crazy and we're just. I don't know. I feel like a lot of nurses drink too much. Should be making some risky life choices. It's
not
so bad.
nurses.
I'm just like, I don't know. We're
That's
fun.
all
We're
true.
smart. Yeah.
All right, that was fun. Sorry, I had to throw the last one in there. I was like, what
Oh,
would
I
you
was like,
rather do?
ooh, never.
Neither.
Neither.
Don't.
I like that one.
So I think one of the things we've talked about in multiple episodes now is like kind of the cycling. People come and then they go, they come and they go. What
Hmm.
is it like watching people kind of come and go when you've been so steady? And how do you stay so steady on your unit?
I mean, it's tough because you spend a lot of time and effort like orienting people and getting them to where they're good and confident, and then they leave. So it feels like not as much like return on investment sort of situation, but it's also like, yeah, go do you, move on to bigger and better things, or, you got to move for whatever reason. Um, I think it's hard when there's a lot of turnover because just, I mean, you're going to have less experience. And I worked at a time on our floor when everybody there was there for 8, 10 years, and then it was great. It's a lot different now. How do I stay so steady?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? Like, why am I still working?
Kind of, yeah, in a nice way.
So I had planned to go back to school and I got pregnant with my first child. So I was like, there's no way I'm working and going to school. And then after having the kid, I was like, no, I can't do it. And then over the years, I have applied slash interviewed for a couple different jobs, but they just weren't a good fit with my schedule. So I feel like what I like to tell people is I'm in a hostage situation because I've reached the point in my career on my unit where I work the schedule I want. Um, I don't have to get relocated hardly ever. I don't have to work weekends unless I want to. I don't have to work as many holidays, or I usually don't have to work as many holidays. And for the amount of time that I work versus the money that I make, it's good, right? And it would be really hard to find another job where I work the same hours for as much money. I mean, there's just it's not out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like I just don't really have a lot of options, or
You
I
got
haven't been able to
Stockholm
find any
syndrome.
options that would replace it. But it's also like I look because it's so physically exhausting, and I am
Mm-hmm.
getting older, God, and it's tough. I mean, for everybody that works in healthcare and in the hospital, I would say especially, not taken away from people who are working in outpatient clinics because they're so busy. I mean, they stay so busy. But for what we do, you know, it's mentally exhausting, and that's for nurses and providers. But let's say like, you as a APP, you and the physician or whatever, and me, like you guys are making the plan where we discuss the orders, but besides maybe doing a procedure, the nurses are carrying out like the physical labor of the day. Like we're doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's physically exhausting on top of, the mental and emotional toll. So it's not something I can see myself doing for a lot longer, honestly, but until I can find something that works, I'm just they got me at gunpoint, man. It's just tough. It's tough.
I think it's just called Stockholm syndrome. Like you've fallen in love with your captor.
Yeah, no.
No, you're
I
like,
I
no.
mean, look, there's pros and cons to this job. At the end of the day, I love where I work. I really like our patient population. I like the people I work with. I think that there's so many things that could be better and need to be changed, and they're so frustrating, but it can't be but so bad if I've stayed there for that long, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I enjoy it, but it is tough after a time of, like, the physical toll and stuff like that.
Yeah. The physical toll is a lot. Like when I first switched from bedside nurse to NP, like I felt like I had so much energy after my shifts because I was not doing so much physical labor all day. I did gain weight. Uh, also, I did gain weight. I gained like 10 pounds, even though I was still like working out
Yeah.
because I wasn't burning as many calories as I was when I was on shift. And when you're busy, 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 I was eating more as an NP. So I actually gained weight,
Interesting.
which is not something uh NPs warn you about, that you may gain some weight when you stop,
Running
hitting your, yeah, I
all
mean,
day.
I always hit my 10,000 steps on
Mhm,
my work days and lifting people, all of
mhm,
that. And again, you're doing so much. I'm not sitting there snacking all the time. Like,
mhm,
whereas now they put me in the office right next to where all the food is, and you guys always have food. So I'm just
mhm,
constantly like,
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I used to work, like, 3 and 4, sometimes 5 shifts in a row. Like, that next day off, I didn't do anything but lay. I was in my 20s, I would lay on the couch and I couldn't
mm-hmm,
get up. Um, and then I couldn't do that anymore when I had kids because if I wasn't at work, I was at home with my toddler or my baby
mm-hmm.
together. Um, and that was about the time where I was like, "Oh god, I don't know how I don't know how this is gonna work," but, obviously it did. Yeah, I mean, it's just exhausting, and then too, when I was still, like, a newer nurse, I remember I would have dreams of always being in the weeds at work, and that used to happen to me when I would wait tables too, and that stopped once I got more, like, comfortable at the job, but every now and again, if I have, like, a dream where I'm, like, at the weed in the weeds at work, I'm like, "Okay, I'm subconsciously or something, I'm thinking about work too much, like, this is bringing it back." I don't know if anybody else has experienced that. I th
I did. I would hear the call bell, like, I would hear the dinging in my sleep. The ding, ding,
Oh
ding,
god, that's miserable.
and
That's
I'd wake up,
miserable.
like, "Oh, I gotta go."
Mhm. Um, yeah, and then, like, talking about being a mom, like, if you're out for an injury or a surgery and you come back to work, you might have work restrictions. Well, we can't work with work restrictions. They don't let us because we either have to be able to do it all or nothing. But, you're coming back after having a baby and being out for a couple months if you're lucky, and you're trying to pump and you're trying to do your work and then you're trying to I mean, I don't think this is nothing against dads. I just don't know that working moms get enough credit. I don't know that moms in the hospital get enough credit when they're trying to, like, pump and breastfeed. It's just a nightmare, honestly. And
Yeah,
you're not
I
sleeping
agree.
when you're home. You're not sleeping because 'cause you're going home and you're up with your kids and stuff, but,
I think
God.
what's I and I'm not a mom, so I don't know what it feels like, but for me, it's just I feel so bad for the moms now that have the, like, portable pumping, and they, like, go and put it on and then come back out on the unit
Mhm,
and aren't, like, charting or working, and I'm like,
mhm.
"Just
I know, I'm like, "Well,
pump in
that's really
peace."
cool, but you have no privacy," and it's like, but that's what we have to do. It's just
Mhm.
crazy, and my floor has always been very good about breaking moms out and breaking people out. But after a time, people get tired of it, and it sucks, and it does make you feel a certain type of way to have
Yeah.
somebody come cover your assignment again. I mean, I remember one time I was in there pumping, and the stethoscope went off, and it was my patient, and I could hear it, and I rushed out there. The family member hit it, by the way, the patient was fine, and I was like, "I can't, this is too stressful." I mean, the amount of stress it would put on me, because I just don't like having other people have to do my work and step away that much, and, you have to try to eat while you're in there and chart while you're doing it. And just not
Mhm.
sanitary. Oh my god, it's just and God knows if you're struggling with it. Girl, I really respect moms and parents,
Yeah.
um, who work. It's tough. It's tough being away from your kids, and then it's tough. The physical stuff on top of it is tough.
Yeah. No, I can't imagine how hard it is to balance it all.
Yeah, and I
So
mean, maybe you're not a mom, but maybe you have a loved one who has some sort of issue that you help take care of them or something like that. It's the same thing.
mhm.
It's tough too when you feel like you're going to work and taking care of other people, but not taking care of your own family.
Yeah. That's a lot. I've I've been there before, and it's like there is a bit of guilt, like, "Oh, I can be here for this person, but I don't have the time to be there helping take care of my family member."
Mhm,
Um, I have been
mhm.
there before.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not just relegated to moms, but
No.
I remember one time I went to my kids' preschool for, like, the first time ever because, like, daycares aren't open, or then daycares were not open at a time when I could have taken them before work, and they didn't know who I was, and it kinda broke my heart. They're like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "I'm so and so's mom." And they're like, I for some reason, they thought, like, they just didn't have a mom, and I was like, "I feel like shit." Like, it made me feel so bad because I was like, "They just think I don't exist because I don't, like," and then the only reason they're coming here is because I have to work, like, the guilt, yeah, that made me feel bad.
Yeah, I can imagine, like,
But, like, it's not that deep. You gotta work, your kids are gonna go to daycare, it's good for them. They get potty trained faster, they get socialized, they learn how to read, it's fine.
they build up a great immune system.
They do, they really do, so that's fine.
Well, any closing thoughts you have for us? Anything you want to share, wisdom you want to pass to any new listeners or those that are kind of at the same point as you are?
Uh No, but I would just like to say thank you to anybody that is still out there taking care of their patients and managing their family and, just showing up and trying to do a good job and staying invested in helping people because it's really tough to do after a certain amount of time. Um, so I would say thank you to everybody out there that are taking care of people.
Yeah, that's a good way to end. Well, thank you for listening here at Banter at the Bedside. Hit follow, like, and follow us on everywhere where you can listen to podcasts. Thanks. Bye.